Are you wondering what to do with your stack of 9-patch blocks? Today I have several layout ideas to help you take your simple patchwork into a beautiful finished quilt. Let's get started. Talking about layout ideas for a 9-patch quilt. You'll want to stay tuned to the very end, and I will share some free motion quilting ideas as well. The first thing you can do is put your squares together in simple rows, and one way to jazz that up a bit is to use an on-point layout. You can see my blocks are turned 45 degrees there and put that on the angle. This is considered a little bit more of an advanced technique because when you're sewing your rows together, you need to include these setting triangles. And some people are a little bit nervous about the math for those triangles because you can't just take your regular square and slice it. It doesn't quite work out with all the seam allowances, but there are lots of online guides to doing that math for you to make sure that ends up correctly. And I'll drop those links in the video description box below. So you would just make all your 9 patches as scrappy as you want, put them together in the rows, and then add the rest of your borders. And that makes a wonderful, scrappy, cuddly quilt that you can use in any room. You can gift it for any occasion, dress it up in different seasonal fabrics, and it's a really fun way to play with your 9-patch blocks. Another project idea for 9-patch blocks is to pair them with an alternate. The snowball block is fabulous paired up with your 9-patch. It really gives it a good alternate space. And since the snowball blocks have a lot of extra space, you can see in this design, I added some embroidery for this great Christmas project. And I will link to this pattern in the description box as well. My friend Nancy Scott came up with the directions for this wonderful holiday pillow. But again, it's just simple 9-patch blocks alternating with snowballs, and you can, again, make that as festive as you want for any occasion. Another fabulous 9-patch pattern is the blooming 9-patch, and I will link to that pattern in the description box. It's been around for quite a while. I made this quilt in 2006, 2007, so it's definitely held up. The fun part about the blooming 9-patch is the color gradient, and you're looking at the 9-patch right here. This is black and white, and then here we have the black and white with a black and gray print, and then on the very edge you have the 9-patch that has the black and gray with a solid black. So the exploding, the blooming effect of this pattern comes from your color choices. So my recommendation with your colors is you're going to start with one fabric or get your solid fabrics first. So I've got my mainly white, my black and white, I introduce some gray, and then I go to solid black. So I've got those 4 main colors, and then you just merge them together. So you need to think of a progression. If you were doing red, white, and blue, then you would want the red in the center, then a red and white, and then a white, and then a white and blue, and then finally a blue. So you get that color progression, and you're really looking for the fabrics that mix those main colors to get this bloom effect to really work for you there. So that's a lot of fun too. And again, you're alternating the 9-patch block with a solid block to get those patterns going. So the blooming 9-patch is another wonderful project idea to use your 9-patch squares. I promised you a look at some free motion quilting ideas using the 9-patch block. So in my shop banner, I want to focus on the section up here where I am staying inside the grid of the 9-patch. And let me take you to a piece of paper and I'll draw those out for you. Okay, let's look at some free motion quilting ideas for the 9-patch block. The first one I'm going to show you is called Continuous Curve. And we can fill in this whole block with one pass of our needle. And the way that works is you start at the bottom of your first row and you stitch the side, the top, the side, the side, top, side, side, top, edge, and then you come back along the bottom of the row. Now, some people use curved rulers to get this arc, and I don't use rulers a lot. I do a lot of freehand work. So my curves are going to look a little bit like handwriting with those little bobbles. They're not going to be perfect. I ended at the top of this row, and so now I can do the same thing. I'm not going to worry about this left-hand edge yet. I'm going to go ceiling, wall, wall, ceiling, wall, wall, ceiling, wall, floor. And I'm rushing a little bit so I didn't hit those points. You want to look ahead at where you want to end up, and then it's much easier to hit that mark when you're looking ahead rather than following along every little part. And you saw at the end there, I ended across this bottom row and I just went back up to my starting point. And that is a continuous curve. It gives that kind of orange peel look with these ovals around the seam lines. This is also a very forgiving free motion design. If you don't have exact points, just kind of aim in that general vicinity and it works just fine. Another free motion quilting design that I like, I've nicknamed the coffee bean, and this uses that same curve idea. I'm going to start in the bottom corner and aim at the opposite corner right across the block. So I'm going to curve up, I'm going to curve back down, making that football shape, and then just kind of swirl in the middle. And then I can do the opposite. I can go down, up, wavy line. Aim at that opposite corner, and I get these rows. You can alternate the directions of your rows. And then I can keep going. So continuous stitching line there as I finish out my block. And that will give a nice directional pattern. You get some circular flow going in some spaces, some strong diagonals going across your block as well. And those are just two ideas for free motion quilting with your 9-patch block. Enjoy sewing 9-patch quilt blocks and experiment with the dancing 9-patch quilt shown in the playlist below. Excel as you quilt with tutorials from True Blue Quilts. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.